felt like I needed to save face of it. Like I needed Jerry should stand up because he's my husband.
You felt embarrassed sitting next to me as my wife because I was so rude, right?
Yeah. But then, you know what? After a few times, it's like, why am I taking responsibility for what Jerry is doing?
And I just stuffed my face. Every time I felt sad, I would eat until I couldn't move.
Let's take the risky path. I've completely changed careers at age 30.
Yeah, I'm highly suspicious of people who go around saying, God told me that you're my wife. I'm like, or you're my husband. I'm like, I gotta ask again. Get away from me.
But did God tell me?
Yeah, laziness is one of the most, I think, insulting things you could say you could call a Chinese person is like, you're lazy.
Kia ora everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Riverwall podcast. I'm Jessie.
And I'm Jerry. And today we're going to talk about Chinese culture. Different aspects of it and how they compare to kingdom culture.
Yeah.
And you were actually the one to bring this topic up.
Yeah.
So what sparked the idea?
I guess it's something that I've thought about in the background for like a while. And we both come from Chinese culture. I guess a little bit about our background is my parents are from Taiwan. They immigrated here and I was born here, but still very definitely Chinese culture at home growing up.
Yeah.
And for you?
Yeah, well, my family's from China.
Yeah.
And I came to New Zealand when I was 5 years old, but yeah, so a similar story, still very influenced by Chinese culture, I guess because we're culturally and ethnically Chinese. Right?
Yeah.
With the nationality, we're both Kiwi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think on top of that as well, we started going to church, Chinese church at a young age.
Yeah.
So that adds a different, another dynamic to it.
Chinese church.
Yeah, Chinese church.
Own characteristics.
In New Zealand. Yeah. So, bless you.
Excuse me.
So I just think there was a lot to unpack there because even in Chinese church, you're Christian, supposed to be kingdom culture.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of aspects of Chinese culture that is actually brought into the church.
Yeah, and especially for Chinese culture, I guess because it's such an old and ancient culture.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are so deeply rooted that people don't question it. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, of course we do things that way, or of course things should be this way, and no one questions it. And even in church, I think sometimes because no one questions it, it almost becomes subconscious.
Yeah.
Until you get second generation people like me and you who grew up in both cultures, and then we're like, why do we do it that way?
Yeah.
And then people start questioning.
That's right.
And then I guess that's where we examine. Chinese culture says this. God says this.
Which one do you follow?
Which one do you follow?
Yeah. And so I guess for us and this podcast today, we've only picked 4 aspects of it. And it's obviously there's so much more. And not all aspects are independent, only for Chinese culture. It could be a lot of other cultures. Yeah,
I think a lot of things in humanity are the same, right? They just kind of express themselves differently. But if you go one layer deeper, under the appearance of the culture, a lot of the motivations are the same. So even if you're not from a Chinese culture, I think there'll be things that speak to you as well, right, in this episode. Yeah.
And so, if you've been following us for a while, you'll know that, all our podcast episodes, they relate to the newsletters that we send out each month. So if you want to read a bit more, if this topic interests you, feel free to go into the description box below and there'll be links to all our articles for this particular episode.
Yep.
But yes.
Yeah, so the first one was the Tried Path, the first article, the Tried Path, and you wrote this article and you mentioned the Chinese ladder of success.
Yeah.
The Asian hierarchy, almost, which is do good in school, right? Get good grades, do good in university, get good grades, get a good job, a nice stable job, make good money, get married, have kids, repeat the cycle. Buy a house as well.
Yeah,
right?
definitely my house.
Because it's like no one will marry you unless you have a house, right? Did you grow up chasing this too?
I think short answer is yes. Not necessarily because my parents really pressured me or anything, or like explicitly said this is what you have to do. But I think it was always implied that, like, you know, you're going to university, and you know you're going to be working and all of that stuff. I think just by nature I grew up being quite someone who like just really wanted to fit in and belong. And so when I realized that the messaging around me was, this is the expected path, you know, this is the tried path, this is expected path, I was like, oh, then that must be it. I'm going to try and do that. So that is what I did chase for a while. I guess it was heavily implied, and it's not like it's kind of the natural step, right? Like it's like from graduating from primary school to intermediate. It's like, of course you go to intermediate, and then from intermediate to high school, it's like, of course you go to high school. There's no other option. And in our culture, it's the same thing. Of course you go to university. Like it's not an option. Like if you don't go to university, you're going to get a low-paying job. That's right.
And you're going to be a bum, basically. That's the kind of implication.
The vibes,
Well, I think that's really changed recently, because even if you do go to university, it doesn't guarantee a good job anymore, right? But that's the culture, right? Everything's about do good in studies and do good, get a nice stable. That's why I think Asian people value doctors and lawyers so much.
Because they view it as a very stable job.
Very high income, stable job, very respected in the community. And you can make, at least in New Zealand, you can actually make quite a lot of money being a blue collar worker, doing building or a tradie, like an electrician or a plumber or something, but they don't chase those jobs. Right, even though sometimes they actually earn more. So it's quite interesting. It's an interesting point, hey, that they chase. It's not only about the income, it's about the status in the community.
It is, for sure, it is about the status. And I think it all kind of relates to each other, because the status relates to saving face, which we'll talk about a little bit later, about, oh, I have high status, so people will respect me.
And things like that. But, what helps you take the risky path with God? We talked about the safe Asian ladder of success, the safe path, and how you used to chase the safe path. But what helped you take risky paths with God? Do you take risky paths with God now?
I think what really changed it all for me, because I was trying to climb this ladder of success, and I was like in journalism, working for like really respected news organisations in New Zealand, but even though I was in, it was like there was just so much more. There was just more and more and more to do, because like once you're in, it's kind of like you still have to produce like really great stories. Like the aim is to keep trying to look for great stories, and then be recognised amongst your peers at work.
The rat race starts, hey?
It's just like it never ends. And I think I got to a point where I was like, this is not, I'm not feeling what I was promised. I was like, because the whole thing is you follow this ladder of success, and then you'll have status, and then you'll feel good about yourself, and that's what a promise is, right? But I didn't feel good about myself. I was like in there, and I was tired, and I was just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, because it's not something that I'm not feeling good.
It's not satisfying you.
It's not satisfying.
I guess we're told the lie that, or the implication of this ladder of success is that once you get to the top of the ladder, which only goes to when you start the job, right? Become the doctor, become the lawyer, become the journalist, become the whatever respected job it is, that you'll feel satisfied. But it doesn't actually talk about the ladder seems to continue infinitely once you get there.
For sure.
And becoming that role is actually only the start, right? And you'll find yourself climbing and never reaching the top.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to do better. There's always someone doing better than you.
That's right. Yeah.
And it never ends, right?
Yeah. And I think, it just got to a point where I was like, I need to reevaluate. And that's not to say that I don't have really great memories in journalism and that I didn't enjoy lots of aspects of it. But it just, I think, especially with something like journalism, the churn got to me. And what I mean by the churn is like the constant looking for different stories and stuff. And not being able to necessarily stay with one thing for a long time. And whereas with some of the other stuff that we're doing now, like journeying with people, it's like you really journey with them. You know, you're not just in and out. Sometimes you can be, but it's a lot less churn, I would say, than journalism. So because of that, I kind of like just spent a couple of years like figuring out who I am, like what I actually want to do. I really had to go back to basics and talk to God, and also I had to change my whole worldview of where my value comes from, which we'll actually talk about more later on. But like it was a combination of all those things that led me to, once I was assured of my value in Christ, then I was able to be like, okay, let's take the risky path. I've completely changed careers at age 30.
Yeah, it becomes less risky.
Yeah.
Because if your value is no longer in your performance or
your status
or your role, then you won't be afraid of failing and trying new things, right?
Yeah.
It all comes hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll get into that later.
Yeah. But you've come from like a different like world view perspective, entirely different from me. You and your family have had to take risks, had to take the risky path for basically your whole life.
Yeah.
What is your relationship like with taking risks?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we ever viewed it as risky, because if you have nothing to lose, is it risky?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of do or die. It's kind of, have 3 generations worth of debt, or add in some more debt and to try this venture and see if it'll pay off. And for us it paid off in the beginning. But for me, I think they're kind of like upbringing, or like I just like my whole world was used to risk, whether it be in business ventures or trying new things. It's kind of normal to me.
And so what is it like now?
Now,
how would you view taking risks?
I think now I'm a little bit too risk-taking. Like I have tendencies to be like, oh, there's not that much money, we could give it a go. Things like that. But I think you keep me in check very well.
Yeah. And I think that's actually the beauty of God's grace to us, for us to come from like completely different backgrounds. And so we have strengths in that each area, right?
Yes.
Obviously, if you're not able to communicate well or like negotiate and then really come to the table to be open to each other's perspectives, that's going to be a really big tension point in your marriage or relationship.
Yes.
But if you are, it actually really strengthens both of you.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Jess, because like if I'm super, I love risk or I don't mind it, and you're super risk averse, if we don't communicate well, that's pulling us in different directions,
Yeah.
right? And there's going to be a lot of conflict there.
Yeah.
If I'm like, let's do this, and you're like, no, it's not safe, and then we're like pulling apart, right?
Yeah.
But then if we can communicate, which I think we can, excuse me, we do really well. Then that becomes a strength in that I can come to you and say, hey, let's give this a go, or let's do this. And you're like, whoa, just slow down a bit.
Yeah, let's think about it.
Let's think about it.
Yeah.
What are the risks? And then we can evaluate really well. And then sometimes if you're being too risk adverse and, you know, lacking a little bit in, we'll call it courage or, you know, the let's give it a go kind of attitude, then that's where I can come in and we can talk like, hey, no, let's give it a go. Let's evaluate the risk. We can afford to lose this if it doesn't go well, but here's the reasons it might go well. And then it's like, actually, we've just done a really good risk evaluation, right?
Yeah. What is the best and worst risk that you've taken?
Worst risk, definitely business stuff.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of money. We won't go into that today.
No.
But
this is also prior to meeting me.
Yeah, prior to meeting you. Best risk is, I think, calling you again after I was like, I don't think now's the right time to date. And then being encouraged by God that I could give it a go. Like, God never told me she's the one.
Yeah.
I'm highly suspicious of people who go around saying, God told me that you're my wife. I'm like, or you're my husband. I'm like, I gotta ask again. You know, like, get away from me.
But did God tell me?
Yeah, did God tell me? Yeah. Highly suspicious, but it's just give it a go. So, you know, risk rejection, I guess. And yeah, gave you a call, and then we got married. Not straight after,
not straight after. There was a decent period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the next article was, have you eaten yet? This is an interesting topic because it's not the most obvious aspect of Chinese culture. But why did you pick it?
I was discussing this with like another friend, and it kind of just came up. Like, she was saying that, whenever my family goes out on holidays and stuff, like the first thing is like, what are we eating? Like, it's not what are we doing, it's like, what are we eating? I think it's like so much of Chinese culture revolves around food. All our big celebrations, you know, like if you're meeting up with family, it's like you're eating. Right? It's not that's the main thing that you do. But on one hand, it was like that tension of, well, we do actually need food to sustain us. So how do we navigate this topic? And I feel like with a lot of other things, it might be really easy to be like, oh yeah, that's an idol. You know, work can be an idol, or whatever, people pleasing, that can be an idol. But with food, it's a lot less obvious because, like I say, we physically need food. You know, that's the reality of it. So it's like a less obvious thing that can be an idol, but I think, and sometimes that can be the most dangerous. Yeah,
because it's not as obvious, so it's dangerous, right? Because other idols are like kind of like you're chasing them, right? They're up on the pedestal, you're chasing them. You know, you're chasing fame, glory, or whatever it is, right? Money, and it's really obvious that you're looking up to it, and that you're chasing it. But with food, it's kind of like the thing it's not a target. It's like your fuel, right? It's like the thing you're putting in to get to your target. So it's not as obvious if it's an idol.
And then that's what makes it dangerous.
That's what makes it dangerous. But I guess anything you love or need more than God is an idol. Right? So that includes food. Why
do you think Chinese people are so obsessed with food, though?
I mean, I think the first reason and the most obvious reason is because it tastes good. Chinese food tastes really good. And, you know, you don't see British people being obsessed with food, because if I was British, I wouldn't be obsessed with British food either. Even they I think they like Chinese food takeaways and Indian curries a lot
They
more
do,
than their
they
own
do,
food.
especially like the Indian
Curries,
like
yeah,
curries.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Indian food is awesome as well.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, that checks out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the first reason. It tastes super good. Very satisfying. I'm not sure if the scarcity mindset comes into it or not. Maybe it does, but for the longest time throughout Chinese history, there's not really any social welfare to speak of. Like if you have no income, can't support yourself, you're kind of gonna starve to death.
Yeah.
And so chasing food or survival, I think, has been ingrained in the culture for a long time. Especially if you're just like a Chinese peasant farmer or something in ancient times all the way up to now. If you can't even guarantee you have enough food, what else can you chase?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can chase other stuff, but you're going to starve to death today. So unless your basic physical needs are met, you can't chase the extra money, the status. It's like you're going to die. Like you got to chase that first, right? And I think a lot of people haven't really, as a culture, haven't snapped out of the survivor mentality. What's the word I just used that I can't remember?
Scarcity mindset.
Yeah, the scarcity mindset. Yeah.
We see it as well, actually, at Asian supermarkets.
Oh,
in New
yes.
Zealand.
There's a very specific archetype, and these Asian supermarkets, a certain
demographic.
Age, certain Asian aunties above a certain age. Ooh, they will tackle people to get to the best cabbage, and push their way through the crowd to get to that cheap watermelon, as if their life depended on it. And
we do not go grocery shopping on Sunday evenings. It's just
or Sunday, any time really.
Sunday mornings are okay, very early morning. Yeah, but yeah, we avoid that.
Yeah.
We don't need that in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you've acknowledged the physical need of humans for food and the danger of having that as an idol, hey?
Yes. Yeah. For sure. I do just want to mention as well, in Romans 14, 17, it's Paul saying, the kingdom of God is not eating and drinking, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. It just a reminder that hey, yeah, we will be, actually in heaven, it says there will be feasts in heaven, we will be eating and drinking. Yeah. I do believe that. But, the kingdom of God is about being with God. Yeah.
But what's better than being with God? It's being with God with good food and drink.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway.
Amen. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but in Philippians 3, it also, Paul also talks about how many live as enemies to the cross and of Christ, and he describes them as this destiny is destruction, their God is their stomach, right, and their glory is in their shame. So it comes up again there too. Right?
Yeah. Just the idea, I think, it's just when you live your life just based on your urges, whatever you see you want, and there's no self-control, there's no thinking or evaluating, which is a very human trait that God has given all of us. We're not animals.
No. If we just keep giving into our urges, it kind of brings into mind fasting, right?
Yes.
So what's your view on fasting?
I think that it is something that all Christians should do, because Paul says when you fast, not if you fast. And that's not to shame anyone, because for 20-something years of my life, I never fasted.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that we, I mean, at least for me, growing up, heard much about or was taught much about.
No, and you don't really see it practiced in church communally, right?
Yes.
Hey, let's fast this time. It's kind of, forgotten a little bit.
Yeah. And I think just what fasting does, it shows you like how weak your body is.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes we think we're invincible, we can go do this, we can go do that.
Yeah.
But it's like God reminding us in a physical way that, hey, you need me.
Yeah, I think for a long time I was questioning God so much. Like, why do I need to fast? Like, if you're with me already and the food is there and I have more than I need, why? Like, what's the point? Right? But then I think God taught me it's a reality check to show you who's actually in control. Because if you
and that's for your benefit.
That's for your benefit.
Yeah.
It's for each individual person. Because if you can't even go half a day without food, are you really in control of your body? You know?
Yeah.
Is it your desire for food that's in control of you? Because if you can't deny it, anything you can't deny is your master.
That's right. Yeah.
And we talked about that in our saying no article. Like anything you can't say no to, you're a slave to. And this fasting, and it doesn't have to be just for food, right? It could be alcohol, soda,
it could be a phone.
It could be your phone, the internet. I think it's good to fast from all those things from time to time, just to help you maintain self-control.
Yeah.
And remind yourself, actually, all I need is God, and these things are good. But if I lose control of them, they become my master.
Yeah, that's right.
And they become my idol.
Yeah, and that's something that both me and you, like, we are also on our journey on. Like, there are things that we definitely, from time to time, should definitely fast from.
Yeah, especially our phones, I think, these days. Because I just noticed myself just like on it, you know? And it's not actually relaxing and not resting, but we're just on it so much.
Yeah. Going back to food though, what has your relationship been like with food over the past few years?
It's been not great. I think I used it as a comfort for all my years in heavy depression, and spent most of my money on food probably, and could afford to at the time spend like $700, $800 a week on food. And I just stuffed my face. Every time I felt sad, I would eat until I couldn't move. And at one point, was it very heavy? Like when we first started dating, when we first met, it was very heavy. I turned to it for comfort instead of God. It was definitely my addiction. Some people were addicted to drugs. Some people were addicted to alcohol. I was definitely addicted to food. So
what changed?
What changed? I think as I healed mentally and emotionally, I needed, and I got comfort from God, which is true comfort. The addiction fixed itself, because what I was looking for in the food I found in God. And so slowly, over the course of maybe like 2-3 years, my addiction went from food to soda, and then I lost that addiction to soda as well, right?
Yeah.
That was my journey with food.
Cool. You wrote the third article about working hard.
Yeah.
Why do you think Chinese people have historically been so hardworking?
Yeah, I think we touched on it earlier. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
There's no welfare. There's no safety net. If you don't work, there's two layers. I think the one is there's no safety net. You don't work, you're gonna starve. The other one is the status in the community. It's a very communal culture, and this comes into, we're going to talk about later about saving face as well, but it's those two aspects. One is like the monster chasing you from behind that is like, I'm going to eat you up if you don't work hard because you're going to starve to death. And then another one is the carrot on a stick dangling in front of them and that they're chasing to no end of, I need respect in the community, and for that I need achievement, because no one respects a lazy bum, for the lack of a better term.
Yes.
But laziness is one of the most, I think, insulting things you could say you could call a Chinese person, is like, you're lazy. It kind of attack so many levels of their character.
Yeah, and their value.
Yeah. So it's like you're worthless, you have bad morals, you're incapable, all in one, right?
When you say you're lazy.
Yeah.
In your article, you talk about the belief that the value of a person is in their performance.
Yeah, that's the underlying lie.
Yeah. And, you've shared a bit already in previous episodes about your own journey, about believing that lie and how you've struggled with that. I was just wondering, what has the process been for you of unlearning that?
Yeah. I think, I grew up really believing the misbelief that my value was in my performance. Well, actually, anyone's value is in their performance. So if you can't produce something, you can't produce a good piece of work, or, can't earn enough money, what's your worth?
Yeah, and I would venture to have a hot take that most, if not all, Chinese people struggle with this lie.
Yeah. I think
because it's so ingrained.
Yeah, and I'd add to that hot take and say probably most of humanity struggles with this lie. But it just comes out in different ways in different cultures. But underneath the whatever appearance it has is the belief that your value is in your performance, right? I struggled with this for heaps of years. And the specific reasons we probably already mentioned in our previous episodes about my upbringing, right? But I think, and it was a horrible time not only for me but for the people around me, because I evaluated other people in terms of their performance as well.
Yeah.
So if I had a very short temper, not in the sense that I would get super loud and yell at people, but I would write people off so fast if I thought they were useless. And I think my standard for that was quite high. So if you took 2 minutes to say something you could say in like 30 seconds. I'd be like, oh, you're so waffly, you're useless, and I never want to talk to you again. You're wasting my time.
But you're not like that now.
I'm not like that anymore. I'm not so like cutthroat. Time is money, guys. Come on, efficiency. And that's because my view of people's value has changed. And I think the biggest thing that helped me unlearn that was like a wrestling session with God about my own value, because I completely burnt out when I was 25 and stopped being able to work or produce anything. And then I'm seeing 2 businesses crumbling, my parents in a panic. And then I'm sitting there like, I can't do anything about it because I literally have no energy or no capacity. And then I felt utterly worthless for quite a long time because I couldn't do anything. And then God asked me a series of questions of like, which really opened my eyes. And the one that really hit me was, people in the hospitals who are, say, in a coma. Is it okay to just go unplug their oxygen pipe or turn off whatever's keeping them alive because they're not producing anything? Therefore, they're not valuable. Therefore, they're useless. And I was like, oh, of course not. So ingrained in me, and God built into us the truth that life is equal and valuable, but we've kind of decided not to go with it. But when you ask a question like that, I think most people will be like, of course you can't just turn them off, right? Well, where does their value come from? Because it can't be in their performance, right? And then he taught me that through that conversation that human value is valuable because God values it. And in our world, the value of something is whatever someone's willing to pay for it, right? It could be a rock. If someone's willing to pay for $1 million for that rock, then that rock is worth $1 million. And so for God, he paid for us with his life, right? In the form of Jesus Christ, who is God and man and came to die for our sins, to ransom our souls so that we can be connected to God once again, then every single human being is valuable no matter what they do, no matter what they can do. And people with Down syndrome are just as valuable as the person with the highest IQ in the world. Right? We're equal. God values us the same. That really changed my perspective, I think, on life and on myself. Because my value is no longer tied to what I do. Therefore, I'm no longer afraid to fail as well. And I'm no longer... I no longer care as much about what people think of me. I basically only care about what God thinks of me. I've never experienced so much freedom, because those things are all shackles that tie you down, right?
Yeah.
And now we can do what we truly want to do with God and not be afraid of failure, because failure doesn't define our value, right? And by the way, guys, another hot take is I think we'll still fail in heaven. A failure is different to sinning. Because I think we're still going to grow and learn things in heaven. Well, I guess failure is inevitable if you're growing and learning things. Failure is not fatal. It's one of the things we learned from living wisdom, right? So if you're afraid of failure, you better get used to it, I think.
I think another aspect of this, talking about working hard and all that, is rest. How has your relationship with rest been like?
I mean, I think it goes. There's two sides of the same coin, right? If your value is in your performance, then if you stop performing, you have no value. Therefore, you're afraid to stop, and you're afraid to rest. For me, growing up, rest was a weakness. Because you only needed rest if you were lazy. I was always like, go, come on, chop.
You know what Chinese people think about lazy?
Yeah. But I mean, it goes back to like what shops are open 7 days.
Yeah.
The Chinese shops.
Yeah.
Right? They're always open on public holidays. If you want to eat out on Easter or Christmas, you can't go to a white people cafe because they'll be closed. They'll be resting. You go to the Chinese shops because you know they'll be open, right? Yeah. It's two sides of the same coin. The reality is that we need rest. You know, even machines need to be shut off from time to time and reset and stuff like that. But humans need rest. Even God rested. So not only is rest good, it's godly, right? True rest though, not scrolling on your phone, being triggered by videos that are designed to make you angry. Which I fall for all the time.
Sometimes I'll come in and then Jerry will be like muttering under his breath and I'll be like, are you stuck in the shorts again?
True rest with God, I think, is reminding us that we're okay because we have God. No matter what situation we're in. You know, we're okay. We're with God. God's with us, rather. And enjoying that relationship is true rest. Which we will enter into heaven and it will never stop. Right? Amen. I notice you're pretty good at resting. How do you balance work and rest?
I think there's a couple of things to this one, because in this current season, you know, I'm working part-time. Yeah. Which is just allows me to have more rest. Yeah. I'm the part-time wife while Jerry's working full-time. Yeah. So I think I have to acknowledge that part. But also I think for me, I am very aware of my capacity. I have a kind of a realistic view on what actually my capacity is, which, you know, not everyone does. I think you're still trying to figure that out.
I'm still figuring that out, I still take on too much, I think, sometimes. Yeah.
And so because I have an accurate view of what my capacity is, I'm able to plan for it. Yeah. I'm able to, like, I have the foresight to be like, actually, no, I can't say yes to this because I need that day to rest. Otherwise I'm not going to be okay and I can't show up 100% for all my other commitments. Yeah.
That's a good way to view it, eh? Like resting now is so you can show up better.
Yes, 100%.
Because you'll do a much better job. You'll have a much better time.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's part of achieving what you want to achieve.
That's right. And actually, when you say no to things, then you can actually figure out what your priority is. What is the thing that is most important to me? And then that's how you spend your time. And then you're not spending your time just kind of floating through life, being swayed by this suggestion or this request or
if
whatever.
Someone says something and you can't say no, and then you get resentful. You know?
Yep, that's another thing.
And then blow up. Well, you could have just said no in the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. Because otherwise you're living a really powerless life.
Yeah, you're powerless. You're like a little boat in the ocean without a rudder.
Yeah.
Just going wherever the wind blows you.
That's right.
And you have no choice of, you have no say. But that's not the life that God gives us.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, because we always bring this back to, you know, God, right? And how does God do it? Because that's the best way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And like you've already mentioned, God rested on the seventh day. But also, you know, I'm sure God could have created everything in one day. Like, he didn't need 6 days to do everything.
No.
But he intentionally chose that. He did like 1 or 2 things a day.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, for us, that's a really good model. Like, don't fill up your day with like 10,000 things to do.
Yeah. He took his time, because he could have just been like, everything, snap.
Literally.
1 second, right? But he took time to, and at the end of each day, he appreciated.
He took time.
He took it all in. It's like, oh, this is good.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
So we need to do the same, and actually, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
If you're just doing, and you don't even take time to kind of like appreciate what you're doing, you know, and see the beauty of the things you're doing.
You're just taking the churn of the world and putting a spiritual
label
mask
on it. Yeah. It's I won't say the saying. It's got, you know, not good words in it.
But we get what we mean.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point, Jess.
Yeah.
So even with church stuff, it's not as like, oh, I just got to do as much as I can to help other people.
Yeah, or please God.
And please God. It's like, well, if you truly wanted to please God, you would rest.
Yeah, that's right.
You would spend, because we can get so busy that we neglect, like, doing things for God, that we neglect to even be with him. Right? And he's kind of like just sitting there waiting for us to talk to him and pay him some attention, but we're so busy doing things for church and doing things for this person and doing things for that person, that we don't take time to be like,
just actually spend time with God.
Just spend time with God.
Yeah.
And he's like, I bet when you first stop and actually turn to God, he's not going to be like, oh, you did that wrong and you did this wrong, and how's this project going and how's that project going? His first thing is going to be like, how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a big lesson, I think, for us too.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Moving on to the last article, which you wrote about saving face. When did you realise... Well, actually, maybe we should first start by explaining, what does saving face mean? Yeah,
saving face, even the English term itself, saving face, comes from the Chinese concept of 丢脸, which means to lose face. And that was a translation in a 1800s book that took the Chinese word and translated it, and then it's kind of made its way into the English language, adopted it, and now we kind of use it as well sometimes, saving face. But I guess the concept is doing things or failing at things to the point where you lose respect, where you look bad in front of other people. So it's all about what do other people think of me.
Yeah, and I think we can definitely say this is not just exclusive to Chinese culture.
No, it's not
I think
just
exclusive. A lot of Asian cultures have this as well.
It's a shame culture, right?
Yes.
Whether it be Korea, Japan,
India, Southeast Asia.
Yeah, all these, and I guess a lot of other cultures as well. But a lot of Asian cultures value this so strongly that they're willing to do anything not to lose face, right? Not to look bad in the community.
When did you realize, specifically for Chinese culture, that it was such a big deal? Was there a specific moment in like growing up?
I think there was a lot of moments, but the biggest one that hit me was actually in the church, realizing some people have divorced, but are willing to lie about it in church so they don't look bad. And I was like, damn. Like, I know you well enough privately to know that you're divorced.
Yeah.
But in front of people in church, you're lying straight to their face about it. Like saying, oh, no, the husband's just working overseas.
That's wild.
Whereas like, I know he's run away. Like he wants nothing to do with this marriage anymore and he's run away, but you're willing to lie about it in order to save face, right? Deny reality to not look bad, which is crazy.
It is.
Right? But it's, I think that was one of the biggest like, whoa moments that really opened my eyes. But it's constant in Chinese culture. People worrying about what other people will think all the time. Like won't name names, but a lot of, especially like kind of like our parents' generation, when they do things, they will often ask, oh, but what will other people think?
Yeah.
And then for us, it's like, oh, who cares?
Yeah.
But I think that's our Western
growing
culture.
up, I cared a lot about I still struggle with it. So it's definitely like a generational shackle.
I think so. I mean, maybe it's just my personality that I don't really care. But that's just a personality, individual thing. But if we're speaking generally in the culture, it's huge. And that's where the problem comes in, when you're willing to deny reality in order not to look bad. Because if you deny reality, you're denying God. If you need help, right? The truth is you need help and you're sick, and you deny reality and you're like, no, I'm not sick. You're never going to ask for help. And you're never going to get better. And one day you'll crumble and die. But you would rather crumble and die than get help.
Yeah.
Right? You'd rather die than look bad. That's where it gets you.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you said you struggle with this a little bit. So what are some examples from your own life where you felt pressure to save face?
I think definitely in regards to with my parents and maybe like their friends or their community. Kind of like, I wouldn't say my parents were like super intense about it, but there was always like the implication that you need to behave in front of other aunties and stuff like that.
If you don't behave, it makes them look bad.
Yeah, it makes my parents look bad.
Yeah, and it makes you look bad, but it makes them look bad.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. They're not good parents, so they don't know how to discipline their children or whatever. And I think the whole cultural thing of saving face, really, for me growing up, I really felt the pressure of it in my, I basically agreed to it and took it on in my own life. Like, I need to save face. And I like, even, so when me and Jerry go to church, sometimes there's particular churches where the worship is like
horrible,
not great. Just it's maybe we can talk about it another time. but like Jerry being who he is, he'll be like, nah, I'm not standing up for this.
Yeah, I'm not singing for, I'm not participating, I'm not standing up for this. I'm not going to clap for you at the end because you don't deserve it. And I'm going to I go in with very obvious noise cancelling headphones and I'll sit there and I'll worship myself. But I guess for Jess, it's like she feels the pressure to stand up and stuff, right?
But like for me, actually in the beginning, I felt like, oh, Jerry's doing this. I felt like, I recognized it. Actually, there was a bit of, I felt like I needed to save face of it. Like, I needed Jerry should stand up because he's my husband.
You felt embarrassed sitting next to me as my wife because I was so rude, right?
But then, you know what? After a few times, it's like, why am I taking responsibility for what Jerry is doing?
Yeah.
I am not responsible for his actions. If he wants to do that, that's on him. I don't need to take that on myself.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I would say, the worship did not bring me into the throne room of God. So, but I could still stand up, and I didn't need to wear noise cancelling headphones or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it was a process for me to be like, actually, it's unfair of me to put pressure on Jerry to be like, you need to stand up and stuff like that, because it's not. That's his choice.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make you sit down and shove headphones on your head, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So don't make me stand up for that.
So I think that's a funny and recent, time where I was like, oh yeah, I definitely felt the pressure of saving face.
Yeah. And I guess for me, it's like, I'm not trying to hide it either, right? Because like,
it's very obvious.
Yeah, it's very obvious. But also like the people have asked me about that particular worship, and I've told them, like the leadership asked me, what do you think of the worship? And I told them exactly what I thought. Not in a rude way, just honest.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel any pressure to save face in certain areas. In other areas, maybe still, right? But in that area, I'm like, well, the problem of me not standing up, not clapping, and putting noise cancelling headphones on, that's not my problem. That's your problem for having such terrible worship. So the solution isn't to force me to stand. The solution is to practice more and get better at worship, right? That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that's not a me problem.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest consequence of saving face?
I think I touched on it earlier, but every time we talk about saving face, or we hear our parents talk about, yao mian, right? That's which is the Chinese way of saying it.
Yeah.
It's always about denying reality. It's basically lying. It's denying reality, and kind of the ostrich approach of when something bad is around, or a negative consequence or a danger is around, you just put your head in the sand, pretend it's not there, and then you never get help. You never grow, and your life just gets worse and worse and worse, because if you don't solve these issues,
they don't go away.
Exactly. And they start chipping away at you. Some of them might be catastrophic, but then another one will come, another one will come, another one will come. And in the beginning, you maybe just had one or two to deal with. If you could just open your eyes and be honest with yourself, not worry about what others think of you and deal with the problem. But because you've left it so long, now you're flipping flooded with issues. And where do you even start, right? And so I think the Bible is one of my favorite verses. The most impactful to me is simply where Jesus says, blessed are those who hear and believe. It's that simple. Hear the truth and believe it. Because then you can deal with all your issues, all your misbeliefs, all your, the problems in your life. If you hold them up against the light of truth, the light of reality, and then make them align. So, hey, I'm doing this different to what God says. Let me ask God for help and align it. Instead of, God says this, but I'm doing something else, but I'm not going to pretend I'm doing what God's doing. Because I'll look bad if I say I'm struggling. Right? Then you start living in lie.
Yeah.
And you can get to a point, and this is where the real danger comes in, and I think we've both met people like this. They literally would rather die than face the truth.
Yeah.
And if you tell them the truth, they hate you. Because you're exposing them.
Yeah.
So, and then at that point, they will willingly jump into hell. Because they can't handle the truth. Well, God is the truth. Heaven is full of God. And heaven is being with God. Heaven is living in reality and living in truth with God. They don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right? And they willingly go to hell. That's the danger. And as a
that's the ultimate consequence.
That's the ultimate consequence.
Yeah.
And I think as a culture, and we're quite terrible at doing this in the Chinese culture, but that's where our job comes in. It's not to tell other people, especially in church, to be like, oh, you need to be honest, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. you can't change people. What we can do is control ourselves and start being vulnerable in church. Start being honest in church. Be honest about what you're struggling with.
Yeah.
Be honest about the things you're failing at. Be honest when you need help and ask for help. And slowly, that as you're vulnerable, it'll encourage other people to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And slowly, that's the only way we can do things. You know, it's not about doing sermons like, you need to be honest, blah, 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 blah. And as I'm doing that, I'm not telling a single person about my struggles in life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not telling people as a pastor about my divorced daughter or my drug addicted son, but I'll tell people to be honest. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? You know, I'd sit down and not clap or not stand up for that either. I'd just sit there and be like, oh my goodness, Lord God, please help this man. Yeah.
Cool. Nice place to end.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
I went on a whole rant.
But I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, if you have comments, discussions, get in touch. Otherwise, we will see you guys next month.
Next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye-bye.